Have you ever wanted to start a business, but you're really scared by the uncertainty? Let's fix that. Here are the 4 questions you should ask yourself before starting a business. And even if the first 3 make complete sense, number 4 could be an absolute deal breaker. First, what investment do you have to make upfront or on a reoccurring basis? One of the largest barriers to entry for businesses is upfront capital. Take a franchise, having a franchise ownership, for example. A typical franchise is going to cost north of 6 figures to start, in even some cases 7 figures. And that's just to get the doors open. Then you have to think about reoccurring expenses, such as franchise fees, inventory costs, employees, payroll, etc. So for the average individual, this can become quite the barrier to entry and should be considered in depth before starting. If your biggest concern is upfront investment, ask yourself a couple of things. Is the investment worth the potential gain, and how long would it take for you to get your investment back? Also, is there another business you could do that requires less overhead? There's a long list of business opportunities, especially with the digital era that we're in, where almost anyone that has a smartphone can access social media and can grow a business from there. Or even something in sales that has a low upfront cost, but has a high earning potential, like financial services or getting into solar. Even some trades have a relatively low barrier of entry and usually are in really high demand. Next would be, what knowledge is required to succeed? If you start a business, ask yourself, how much knowledge do you have on that industry already? How accessible is the knowledge, or is there a great training program or system to help you understand the industry more? Take my story, for example. I run a business in the insurance industry. Before starting, I had zero, and I mean zero, knowledge on the industry or how it worked. However, there's an amazing platform available to help me get licensed, get trained, and as well, an incredible system to help me grow and scale in the beginning. But if you're trying to start a bakery, let's say, not only do you need to know how to make delicious baked goods, but you also need to know how to run a business and have business knowledge. Meaning you could be the best baker in the world, but if you don't have the knowledge on how to run a business, like dealing with employees and payroll and marketing and permits and leasing space and profit margins and on and on and on, you could be in really big trouble. So it's important to ask yourself, do I have the knowledge required, or how accessible is it if I need more? The third question to ask yourself before starting a business is, what's the risk? Although you must understand up front that entering business and entrepreneurship, you're already saying that you accept there is going to be risk involved, right? You don't build anything worthwhile without taking on some risks. However, ask yourself, what kind of risks are we going to be taking? Is this a detrimental risk where you could potentially lose your entire life savings and ruin your life? Might not be the right move. Or is this a calculated risk where you've weighed all the possible outcomes and accept the potential hardships that could come from it? 2 very different questions that could lead to 2 very different outcomes. So review the potential risks before getting started, and even seek others in the same industry and see what they have to say. What did they know? What did they do wrong? What could they have done better to get ahead faster? They may know a way to do it without having to take on as much unnecessary risk. Now, number 4, and this is a big one. What is the need for your product or service? In my opinion, you could have the first 3 questions figured out, but if this one isn't answered properly, it will be catastrophic to your business. When thinking about the need for your business, ask yourself, is it sustainable and scalable? Maybe you want to start selling something like a fidget spinner. You get everything set up and start pumping ads and increasing sales and traffic. Perfect. That's something that you can scale from 0 to hero with relatively little risk. However, as we've seen over the years, just selling fidget spinners is not necessarily a sustainable business, as the fad can come and end so quickly. So yes, you've created cash flow, which is good, that you could now pump into other things, but you haven't quite built a business. Now, on the other hand, maybe you want to start selling fruits and vegetables from your backyard at the local farmer's market. It's sustainable because you can continue to grow the veggies yourself and people need to eat. However, trying to scale that business to a point where it's actually going to make a substantial financial impact in your life will be quite difficult as well, as you can only grow so much food on your own. This is why when I found the insurance industry, it made so much sense to me. It's an industry everyone needs at some point in their life. It's just a matter of now or later. And the ability to grow distribution of products and services is almost endless. So yes, sustainability and scalability are essential to the success of a business. But I'll leave you with one last question, and I want you to ask yourself this. Will my business help people? Will it truly solve a problem and impact people's lives? If the answer is yes, you're probably on the right track. And that is my top 4 questions you should ask yourself before getting into business. And as always, if you like the content, feel free to like, Maybe drop a comment. Would love to hear from you, and turn on the post notifications, as I'll be sharing as much as I possibly can on the industry of finance, understanding leadership development, and personal motivation.